parents protest.
They need to stay away from kids. They can't be indoctrinating kids.
I'm supporting human rights here today.
Dueling protests over an LGBTQ inclusive curriculum in BC schools.
Now, check news. Here's Ben O'Hara.
Welcome back. The LGBTQ inclusive curriculum in BC schools was the focus of large protests and counter-protests in Victoria and Vancouver today. The group Culture Guard is against new sexual orientation and gender identity resources in classrooms. But as Tess Van Stratton tells us, teachers, students and parents, well, they came out to show their support.
It's the law no matter what you say!
It's the law no matter what you say!
Dueling protests over LGBTQ inclusive curriculum in BC schools draw hundreds of people, both outside the BC Teachers Federation and in front of the BC Legislature.
I'm supporting human rights here today, and I'm supporting the human rights of students who may be gender variant, gay, lesbian, transgender. This is a human rights issue.
On one side, holding signs that say tolerance and inclusion is a human right, educators, students and parents show their support for SOGI 123, teaching tools for sexual orientation and gender identity.
I think there are kids out there that have not felt included and that have felt afraid to be who they are, and this is just catching up and including them.
On the other side, with signs saying hands off our children and parents have rights, protests organized by Culture Guard, which claims SOGI 123 is radical sex ed.
So it's okay for adults to live as they want and do as they want, but they need to stay away from kids. They can't be indoctrinating kids.
Smith, who identifies as transgender, believes it's brainwashing.
They don't want their kids taught a confusing gender ideology, and many of these books and stuff that they're giving kids in school are confusing them. Okay, so it's going to make them question their gender identity.
And angry parents agree.
Department of Indoctrination doesn't have to come in and try to get in between me and my child because they don't trust parents. Parents do a heck of a good job.
SOGI Head is here to stay!
No matter what you've got to say!
But SOGI supporters believe the opposition is due to fear-mongering and misinformation.
I believe they're operating under some serious misinformation, though, and I think that may be what's fueling their opposition.
Now in its second year, SOGI 123 is in 51 of BC's 60 school districts.